Bamdeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Parakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Umma Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Press. First, I offer my respects unto the lotus feet of my initiating spiritual masters and the recruiting spiritual masters and advanced Vaishnavas. Next, I offer my obeisances to my Shastra Gurus, Srila Rupa Goswami, his elder brother Srila Sanatan Goswami, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, and Srila Jiva Goswami. On a higher platform, I offer my respects unto Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who came with his paraphernalia and associates, along with those great personalities, Sri Nityananda Prabhu and Sri Advaita Acharya. And in the highest stage, I offer my obeisances unto the lotus feet of Sri Radha and Govinda, and now all of the gopis, headed by Lalita Devi and Vishaka Devi. Applying the soothing self of Sambandha Gyan, a proper acquaintance with environment, my spiritual master has opened my inner eye and thereby rescued me from the darkness of ignorance, fulfilling my life's aspirations. I offer my respects unto Sri Gurudev. Vamcha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhuvyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. I bow down unto the holy feet of the pure Vaishnavas, who are like the side trees able to fulfill all the devotees' aspirations. The Lord's devotees are comparable to a vast ocean of causeless mercy, as they deliver the fallen souls from material existence. I offer all respects unto them. Namo Mahabhadanjaya Krishna Prima Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Name Gaura Vishe Namaha. I offer my obeisances unto Lord Gauranga, whose divine complexion is a radiant golden hue, and who possesses the qualities of the most benevolent incarnation. His spiritual pastimes freely grant pure love for Lord Krishna to all. He is none other than Lord Krishna, known in the age of Kali as Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Vrindayai Tulasi Devyai Priyayai Kesavasyacha Krishna Bhakti Pradidevi Satyavatya Namo Namah. I eternally offer my respects unto Sri Vrinda Devi, Srimati Tulasi Maharani, who is the dearmost object of Lord Keshava's affection. I bow down before Satyavati, who can bestow pure dedication unto Lord Krishna. Sakala Vaishnava Paren Mora Namaskar, Ite Kichwa Parada Nahuka Mora, Oyachem Oivem Prabhu Jakta Bhaktajan, Bandana Koryami Savaracharana. I respectfully bow to the lotus feet of all the Vaishnavas, praying that there is no offense in my attempt to please them. To all Vaishnavas who have been, on all Vaishnavas who shall be, I offer my obeisances to their lotus feet. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Shri Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Shri Vandana Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupada Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupada Srila Bhakti Raka Srila Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki Jai. Jai Saparkara Shri Guru Gaura Chandra Girirashu ki Jai. Good morning, Dandavat, dear devotees. Srileka Didi is gone. She went to London and then she's going to go to India. And in the meantime, we'll try to read and to cover the morning readings here at Sri Chaitanya SCSMission, Utah. And what are we going to do while Srileka Didi is not here? For the pleasure of our gurus and for the pleasure of the deity, Sri Guru Gaura Chandra Girirashu, we will read Sri Guru and His Grace. A very important book for us to understand where we at, where we're going to, and what is our practice. The importance of Guru, of our spiritual master. That being said, let us begin into this new journey. We're going to read Sri Guru and His Grace. Okay. This is a book spoken by Srila Bhakti Rakashira Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj, who is a person on the screen right now. This book wasn't written, it was spoken by an amazing personality such as Srila Guru Maharaj. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga, Sri Guru and His Grace, by His Divine Grace, Swami Bhakti Rakashira Dev Goswami Maharaj. Alright, so let's read the preface. Jai Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj, Jai Srila Bhakti Rakashira Dev Goswami Maharaj, Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Guru Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj ki Jai, Jai Srila Sachidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki Jai, and A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai, the Acharya who brought Krishna consciousness to the West. By His grace we're here. So we're going to read the preface given by Srila Prabhupada about, we're going to read his preface. In 10 short years, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada inundated the world with Krishna consciousness. In the following excerpt from one of his essays, he smashes the sectarian misconception that the spiritual master is limited to a particular person, form, or institution, and establishes the universal conception of Guru. Sakshat aridvena samasta shastrair uktastata bhavyataiva sabbihi kintu pravorya priye bhattasya bandehuro shri charanara vrindam. In the revealed scriptures, it is declared that the spiritual master should be worshipped like the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and this injunction is obeyed by pure devotees of the Lord. The spiritual master is the most confidential servant of the Lord. Thus, let us offer our respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of our spiritual master. Gentlemen, on behalf of the members of Mumbai branch of the Gaudiya Math, let me welcome you all because you have so kindly joined us tonight in our congregational offerings of homage to the lotus feet of the world teacher, Acharya Deva, who is the founder of this Gaudiya mission and is the president, Acharya of Sri Vishva Vaishnava Raja Sabha. I mean, my eternal divine master, Om Vishnupad Paramhamsa Paribrajacharya Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj. 62 years ago, on this auspicious day, the Acharya Deva made his appearance by the call of Thakur Bhaktivinod Ashri Kshetra Jagannatha Dhamma at Puri. Gentlemen, the offering of such an homage as has been arranged this evening to the Acharya Dev is not a sectarian concern, for when we speak of the fundamental principle of Gurudev or Acharya Dev, we speak of something that is universal application. Jai Srimad Mahaprabhu ki Jai. Jai. There does not arise any question of discriminating my Guru from yours or anyone else's. There's only one Guru who appears in an infinity of forms to teach you, me and all others. Srila Prabhupada is talking about the principle of Guru. In the Mundaka Upanishad, it is said, Tad Vigyartam sa Guru meba vigachet samit panishotyam brahmanishtam. In order to learn the transcendental science, one must approach the bona fide spiritual master in the cyclic succession, who is fixed in the absolute truth. Thus, he has been enjoined herewith that in order to receive that transcendental knowledge, one must approach the Guru. Therefore, if the absolute truth is one, about which we think there is no difference of opinion, the Guru cannot be two. The Acharya Dev, to whom we have assembled tonight to offer our humble homage, is not the Guru of a sectarian institution or one out of many differing exponents of the truth. On the contrary, he is a Jagat Guru, or the Guru of all us, or the Guru of all of us. The only difference is that some obey him wholeheartedly, while others do not obey him directly. In the Bhagavatam, it is said, Acharyam bijanijam navamanjeta karichit namarta buddhya suyeta sarvadeva mayu guru. One should understand the spiritual master to be as good as I am, said the blessed Lord. Nobody should be jealous of the spiritual master or think of him as an ordinary man, because the spiritual master is a sum total of all demigods. That's insane. That is, the Acharya has been identified with God himself. He has nothing to do with the affairs of this mundane world. He appears before us to reveal the light of the Vedas and to bestow upon us the blessing of full-fledged freedom, after which we should hanker at every step of our life's journey. The transcendental knowledge of the Vedas was first uttered by God to Brahma. Brahma is the creator of this particular universe. There are infinite number of material universes. And in each material universe, there is a creator, and that's Brahma. So the transcendental knowledge of the Vedas was first uttered by God, by the Lord, to Brahma, the creator of this particular universe. From Brahma, the knowledge descended to Narada, from Narada to Vyasadev, from Vyasadev to Madhava. And in this process of disciplic succession, the transcendental knowledge was transmitted by one disciple to another till it reached Lord Gauranga, Sri Chaitanya, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, the one that you guys see on the screen right now, who posed as the disciple and successor of Sri Ishvarapuri. The present Acharya Dev is a 10th disciplic representative from Sri Rupa Goswami, the original representative of Lord Chaitanya, who preached his transcendental tradition in its fullness. The knowledge that we receive from our Gurudev is not different from that imparted by God himself and the succession of the acharyas in the perceptorial line of Brahma. We adore this auspicious day as Shri Vyasa Puja Tithi because the acharya is a living representative of Vyasadev, the divine compiler of the Vedas, Puranas, Bhagavad Gita, Mahabharata, and Srimad Bhagavatam. We cannot know anything of the transcendental region by our limited, perverted method of observation and experiment. But all of us can lend our eager ears for the oriole's reception of the transcendental sound transmitted from that region to this, through the unadulterated medium of Sri Gurudev or Sri Vyasadev. Therefore, gentlemen, we should surrender ourselves today at the feet of the representative of Sri Vyasadev for the elimination of all of our differences bred by our unsubmissive attitude. It is accordingly said in the Bhagavad Gita, Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattva darshinaha. Just approach the wise and bona fide spiritual master. Surrender unto him first and try to understand him by inquiries and service. Such a wise spiritual master will enlighten you with transcendental knowledge, for he has already known the absolute truth. To receive transcendental knowledge, we must completely surrender ourselves to the real Acharya in our spiritual. I'm going to read out again. To receive transcendental knowledge, we must completely surrender ourselves to the real Acharya in a spirit of ardent inquiry and service. Actual performance of service to the Absolute under the guidance of the Acharya is the only vehicle by which we can assimilate transcendental knowledge. Today's meeting for offering our humble services and homage to the feet of the Acharya Dev will enable us to be favored with the capacity of assimilating the transcendental knowledge so kindly transmitted by him to all persons without distinction. Gentlemen, although it is imperfectly that we have been enabled by his grace to understand the sublime messages of our Acharya Dev, we must admit that we have realized definitely that the divine message from his holy lips is the congenial thing for suffering humanity. All of us should hear him patiently. If we listen to the transcendental sound without unnecessary opposition, he will surely have mercy upon us. The Acharya's message is to take us back to our original home, back to God. Let me repeat, therefore, that we should hear him patiently, follow him in the measure of our conviction, and bow down at his lotus feet for releasing us from our present causeless unwillingness for serving the Absolute and all souls. Sitting at the feet of the Acharya Dev, let us try to understand from his transcendental source of knowledge what we are, what is this universe, what is God, and what is our relationship with him. The message of Lord Chaitanya is a message for the living entities and the message for the living world. Lord Chaitanya did not bother himself for the upliftment of this dead world, which is suitable name Martyalok, the world where everything is destined to die. He appeared before us 450 years ago to tell us something of the transcendental universe, where everything is permanent and everything is for the service of the Absolute. But recently Lord Chaitanya has been misrepresented by some unscrupulous persons, and the highest philosophy of the Lord has been misinterpreted to be the cult of the lowest type of society. We're glad to announce tonight that our Acharya Dev, with his usual kindness, saved us from this horrible type of degradation, and therefore we bow down at his lotus feet with all humility. We're happy that we have been relieved of this horrible type of malady by the mercy of his divine grace. He is our eye-opener, our eternal Father, our eternal preceptor, and our eternal guide. Let us therefore bow down at his lotus feet on this auspicious day. Gentlemen, although we're like ignorant children in the knowledge of transcendence, still my Gurudeva has kindled a small fire within us to dissipate the invincible darkness of empirical knowledge. We're now so much on the safe side that no amount of philosophical argument by the empiric schools of thought can deviate us an inch from the position of our eternal dependence on the lotus feet of his divine grace. Gentlemen, hath he not appeared before us to deliver us from the thraldom of his gross, worldly delusion, surely we shall have remained for lives and ages in the darkness of helpless captivity. Hath he not appeared before us, he will not have been able to understand the eternal truth of the sublime teaching of Lord Chaitanya. Personally, I have no hope for any direct service of the coming crores of birds in the sojourn of my life. But I am confident that someday or other I shall be delivered from this mire of delusion in which I am at present so deeply sunk. Therefore, let me with all my earnestness pray at the lotus feet of my divine master to allow me to suffer the lot for which I am destined due to my past misdoings. But to let me have this power of recollection that I am nothing but a tiny servant of the Almighty Absolute Godhead, realized through the unflinching mercy of my divine master. Let me therefore bow down at his lotus feet with all the humility at my command. Avai Charandas for members, Shikodiyamat, Mumbai. This lecture was originally published in Harmonist in 1936 on the Advent of Day of His Divine Grace, Om Vishpa Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Wow. It's just incredible the way the power that Srila Prabhupada had to convey such transcendental topics. And the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was polluted by Mayavad philosophy and by imitationists. Such a wonderful, divine, and pure plane of consciousness was being misinterpreted by material consciousness. So-called divine, but it was just imitation, or misinterpreted by Mayavad impersonal philosophy. But by the grace of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, as we were hearing from Srila Prabhupada, he saved us. He eradicated all that pollution, and he reestablished the real conception of Sriman Mahaprabhu. So, now that we read that preface given by Srila Prabhupada, let us meditate on the lotus feet of Bhagavan Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Without him, we wouldn't be here. Alright. Now we're going to read the introduction. And now, this introduction is given by His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti-Raka Srila Goswami Maharaj, the founder Acharya of Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat. And what is the meaning of Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat? It means the conception of Sriman Mahaprabhu, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, through Bhagavan Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So, the real conception of Mahaprabhu is being given in Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat. And dear devotees, just give me one moment. I need to plug in the computer. It's gonna die. Okay. All right. Are we ready to hear the words of Srila Guru Maharaj? Yes, we are. Okay. To err is human. To err is inevitable for all, being not perfect. Still, no one wants to remain imperfect. There is an element within all that is animate, that tends towards perfection. If it were not so, we will feel not want at all. Our tendency towards perfection is certainly very weak and limited. Otherwise, we could attain the goal at once. Our limited capacity and tendency for perfection makes room for the guide or guru. That was just one paragraph and it was like already so cool. The imperfect is not so if it is not in need of help, and that also from beyond itself. The perfect is not perfect if he cannot assert himself or help others. In this line, he's talking about the Lord. The perfect is not perfect if he, capital H, cannot exert himself or help others. And that too, of his own accord. So, the guidance to perfection or absolute truth is necessarily a function of the Absolute himself. And the divine agent through whom this function manifests is Sri Guru, or the divine guide. For a seeker of the absolute truth, submission to the Guru is unavoidable. A class of thinkers believe, however, that when scientific research is possible, why cannot higher spiritual knowledge also be evolved from within? Such people are ignorant of the most essential nature of absolute knowledge, that he, capital H, alone is the absolute subject, and all else, including ourselves, constitutionally stand only as an object to his omniscient vision. It is impossible for the eye to see the mind. It can have some connection with the mind, only when the latter cares to mind it. In a similar way, our connection with absolute knowledge depends mainly on his sweet will. We must solely depend on his agent, or the spiritual master through whom he likes to distribute himself. Our human society with its finest culture forms but an infinitesimal part of the dynamic absolute. How, except by the direct and positive method of revelation, there we hope to comprehend or evolve any conception of the supernatural knowledge of the unconditioned infinite. All intellectual giants prove themselves but pygmies before the absolute omniscient omnipotence, who reserves the right to give himself away through his own agents alone. To our best knowledge and sincerity, however, we shall see not to submit to a false agent. Here, of course, we can't help ourselves very much, because in our present state we are mainly guided by our previous samkara, or acquired nature. Birds of the same feather flock together. Yet, although we're generally overpowered by habit, there is still the possibility of free choice to a certain extent, especially in the human species. Otherwise, correction becomes impossible, and punishment mere vengeance. Reality can assert itself. Light does not require darkness for its positive proof. The sun by itself can establish its supremacy over all other lights. Before an open and unbiased eye, the Sadguru, real guide, shines above all professors of phenomenon. Sri Guru manifests himself mainly in a twofold way, as the director from within and the preceptor from without. I'm going to read that again. Sri Guru manifests himself mainly in a twofold way, as the director from within and the preceptor from without. Both functions of the absolute help an individual soul. Both functions of the absolute help an individual soul, a disciple, to reach the absolute goal. In our fallen state, we cannot catch the proper direction to the inner guide. So the merciful manifestation of the preceptor without is our sole help and hope. But at the same time, it is only by the grace of Guru within that we can recognize the real preceptor without and submit to his holy feet. A bona fide disciple must always remain fully awake to the fact that his highest spiritual fortune is but a gracious grant from the Absolute Lord, and not a matter of right to be demanded or fought out. Constitutionally, we're equipped only to be proper recipients of God's favor. In this connection, it should be clearly understood that an individual soul can never be substantially the same as the absolute person. Not even in his liberated or fully realized condition can an individual soul be one with Godhead. The misconception of oneness has been introduced from the slothful non-discrimination of the absolute personality from the luminous orb around his eternal, spiritual, and blissful home. In fact, an individual soul constitutes only a part of a particular power of intermediate value of the Supreme Lord. And as such, he is capable of being converted from both sides. He differs from the absolute entity both in quantity and quality, and is merely a dependent entity on the Absolute. In other words, the Absolute Lord Krishna is a master, and an individual jiva soul is his constitutional subordinate or servant. Such a relationship is constant and really wholesome for the jiva. The apprehension of slavery does not arise because of his free choice. An immense positive gain. The freedom and individuality of the jiva are not only unharmed by surrender to the absolute good, but they really thrive in Him alone. Individual freedom and interest are the part and parcel of those who are of the absolute, and so they are quite at home there, as a fish is at home in water, or an animal in a healthy atmosphere. But the freedom, as well as all other qualities of the Supreme Personality, are unlimited and transcendental, and so only by their partial functions they harmonize all relative entities. Sri Guru is not exclusively the same as the Supreme Lord Himself, but He fully represents the essence of the whole normal potency and embodies the most comprehensive and excellent service and favor of the Lord. As He is the fittest servitor of the Lord, He is empowered by the Lord to reinstate all misguided souls to their best interest. So Guru is the divine messenger of the immortal whole and joy in this mortal and miserable world. His advent is the most auspicious and happy event to the suffering animation, and can be compared to the rising of the morning star that can guide the traveler lost in the desert. A gentle touch of Sri Guru's merciful hand can wipe away the incessant tears from all weeping eyes. A patriot or philanthropist makes the problem only worse in his frantic and futile attempt to alleviate the deep-rooted pain of a suffering soul, as an ignorant doctor does in eagerly handling an unfortunate patient. Oh, the day when this poor soul realizes the causeless grace of Sri Gurudev. Swami Bhakti Raka Shiradev Goswami Maharaj. This essay was originally published in 1934 in The Harmonist. Jaya Srila Bhakti Raka Raksha Shiradev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. This introduction was a lovely reminder for us that constitutionally we're objects of the Lord's enjoyment. And our true fulfillment will be found when we realize that we're servants. In this present material conditioning, we don't want to be servers, we want to be masters. Because we think we will find happiness and satisfaction in the position of a master, in the position of a center. But in reality, we will find true freedom and satisfaction as servitors. And this is what Srimad Mahaprabhu has came to give, and what we're receiving through Srila Guru Maharaj. We are only objects of His enjoyment. And the only way for us to understand what is our current position is by the grace of Sri Guru. What is what, where we at, what is our goal, how to attain it, that is given by Sri Guru, who is none different to Sri Krishna Himself. Jai Srila Guru Maharaj Ki Jai. Dandavat, Divya Shakti Didi Ki Jai. Rosini Sikavan, Hare Krishna, good morning. And Nainananda Prabhu. Haribo, Dandavat Prabhu. Well, today was a very short introduction to Sri Guru and His grace. We're going to read hopefully all the book, and I think it's going to be amazing because the words that come out of the holy mouth of Srila Guru Maharaj are just incredible, and hopefully we'll be recipients of his grace. Jai. Now we're gonna chant Hari Haraya, and we will finish our seva today, dear devotees. Hello, hello. Shravanam Kirtanam. Jai Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki Jai. Hari Haraye Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha Gopal Govinda Ram Srimadhusudana Giridhari Gopinata Madana Mohana Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra Katadhara Sri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunatha Shri Jiva Gopala Vata Dasa Raghunatha Jai Gosai Kori Charana Vandana Jahote Vignana Savista Purana Jai Gosai Jaramui Taradasa Savara Pada Renu Mora Panchagras Radera Charana Sevi Vakta Sanevas Janame Mora Avilas Jai Gosai Jave Vraje Koilavas Shishiratha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Prakas Anande Volo Hari Vaja Vrindavana Shri Guru Vaishnava Pare Majai Jaman Shri Guru Vaishnava Para Param Shri Guru Vaishnava Para Padma Koriyas Hari Nama Sankirtana Kohe Narottamadas Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Jai Om Vishnupada Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupada Srila Bhakti Raka Srila Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupada Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki Jai. Jai Shurupanu Guru Varga ki jai, Janamacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna ki jai. Jai Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Maharaja Vrinda ki jai. Jai Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat ki jai. Jai Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Jai Shri Chaitanya SCSMission ki jai. Jai Sudarshan Prabhu ki jai. Jai Shri Lekha Devi ki jai. Jai Shri Panyasi Maharaj ki jai. Jai Rakishori Devi ki jai. Divya Shakti Devi ki jai. All the assembled and unassembled devotees ki jai. Nitai Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Haribo. Thank you for tuning in this morning, dear devotees. Shravanam Seva. Haribo.